Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cafe of Knowledge, and we on chapter 20 today. And this is the last chapter for the whole inventory lesson course that we've been doing for a minute now. It had 20 chapters, and this is the last chapter. And after this chapter here, y'all, we will be I will be coming on Wednesdays just to kind of tell you about the work field. We'll be discussing things that go on in the work field just to keep people alert, updated, and things like that. We'll be talking about customer service, how to give good customer service. We'll be talking about management team. We'll be talking about the companies in general. We'll be talking about things like that. Just open discussions that people need to know, should know to make businesses run better. We'll be chatting on little things like that. But anyway, today we on chapter 20, and chapter 20 is the last one, and that's the interview process. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna touch base on how a company prepares for the interview process, and then we're gonna talk about individuals preparing for the interview process and how to execute and do good in your interview process. Okay, now, so for the first thing, let's start with the companies. If you planning on running your own business, or you are a business owner, small business owner, large business owner, or whatever, these are things that businesses do, or a large company, corporate office, or whatever. These are what businesses do to prepare for an interview. This is the process they do to get ready to interview individuals. Okay, so if you're running your own business and everything, the interview process have multiple stages process for hiring new employees. Okay, they typically includes the following. Okay, they will write out a job description. So if you're running a company, it's the company or the business, they have to see what they're going to hire or who they're going to hire. It could be a cashier. Well, they need to write down a description of what cashiers do. Bagging, ringing up people, good customer service, picking up the telephone, answering the phones. It should be a description, for every position that they're looking for. That's why when you look online, or you go and put in an application online, or you go to the kiosk that they might have inside of their store, once you see what's open, position that they have open, and you click on it, it'll give you a job description on what that job does. Okay, so you would know, and you can't say you didn't know that that job required you to do this. Okay, so that's first what a company do. It gets ready, it writes out the job description of what it takes to run that certain position, what you have to do to run that certain position. Okay, then they will post the job. They will put it online, or they will put it inside their kiosk, or there's some of them puts it on the outside of their door at the business. They'll put it in the entryway or the exit way, say now hiring, things like that. So they have to post it. And then when people put in applications and stuff for this job, then they have to schedule interviews. Okay, and once they schedule the interviews, then they will conduct the interviews. They'll call the people or whatever, and they'll say, hey, can you come in this day, this time, or whatever, and they setting up a schedule for the job interview. They conduct, and then they have to sit down and do a person-to-person interview with that person, or either a virtual interview. But they do have an interview process sometimes where you come in and talk person-to-person during the interview, or they'll do a virtual interview with you. Okay, then they'll follow up on the candidate that they're going to hire. Once they interview everybody. They'll pick the best one they feel that's good, a great fit for the position that they have open. Okay, so that's the interview process of businesses. That's how businesses prepare themselves for hiring someone. Okay, so now let's talk about the individuals. Okay, you just out, an individual person out, and they're scouting and they're looking for a job and all that good stuff. So first of all, make sure you come across as a yes hire, meaning that you make sure when you are scheduled to go to an interview that you automatically go in there saying they're going to say yes to me. Have confidence when you go in there. Just automatically make sure that you come across to that person that's interviewing you as a yes candidate for the job. Okay, and you have to be very confident in yourself to do that, and know how to relate to that person who is interviewing you. Okay, now certainly walk in prepared to showcase your skills and experience you have that's needed for that job. Okay, so you make sure when you go in there, you showcase your skills and experience. Okay, so if you are applying for an accounting job, then you would say, hey, when they ask you about accounting, you're like, yes, I have been doing accounting. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. I know how to keep up with files. I know how to keep up with the week 1, week 4 files. So you have to explain. You have to explain every position they ask you about. You got to tell them whatever job position you are applying for, you have to relate to that position and tell them everything you know in order that they know you can run that position very well with no problems at all. Okay, if you're applying for a cashier job, you would say, yes, I've been a cashier for 2 years. I know how to ring up people. I know how to give great customer service. I know how to bag the items in the bag. I know how to take the money. I don't come up short because I know how to count. Even if the register stopped working, I still know how to count and give people change back without the register even working. See, you have to sell yourself. So that's what it's saying about make sure that you have confidence and showcase your skills and experience that you have for that job. Okay? And the next thing you want to do is smile and talk confident about the knowledge you have for that job, okay? And the value you will bring to that job, okay? And we just discussed that. We say, yeah, and I know how, if you're applying for the register and stuff, you also, you got to tell them the value you going to bring to their job. You say, I know how to ring people up very correctly, but I also know how to keep up with a fast-paced store. So if it's long lines, I know how to be accurate, give great customer service, and also move those lines along so our customers don't have to wait so long. So you have to sell yourself, okay? A lot of people go into interviews and they just wait on the interviewer to ask them things. Like they say, oh, so you've been a cashier before. Now I'm going to show you 2 different ways that, a good way and a bad way. Okay, so the first way is the interviewer say, hey, I see that you've been a cashier for about 2 years. You say, yes, I have been a cashier, and I know how to ring up people. I know how to bag real fast. I know how to get the line down and be accurate about it. Like I just said, I know how to, if the register go down, I can count the money on my own and still don't be short. I have hardly ever came up short. And you just sell yourself like that. I know how to give great customer service, talk to the people and all that good. You have to sell yourself, okay? Now, this is the flip side of it. They say, oh, I see you know how to cashier and you've been cashiering for 2 years. And you say, yeah, I've been a cashier for 2 years, and that's it. And the interviewer have to pull stuff out of you. Okay, well, what did you do on your other position? Oh, I rung up people. You know, it was pretty good. I liked it. And you stop. That's not a good interview. See, versus what I said at first, versus that interview person is going to pick that person there who was more energetic, knew what they was talking about, was passionate what they was talking about, because they want that job and they know that they will be good at that job. And they told them, I'll be very good at it. You know, see, you have to talk. And when you don't talk and you just sit there and just answer only the questions that the people ask you, and then you looking around the room and you got your head down and you looking up in the ceiling and you waiting on them to say something, or you just looking at them after you ask the question. Yeah, I know how to cashier. And then you sit there and look at them and wait on them to ask you something else. No, bad interview. Bad interview. And that's why a lot of people don't get telephone calls or don't get called back or don't get offered the job. Because if a manager or the person who is interviewing you is most likely a manager or the owner or something like that. The person who is interviewing you, if they have to pull everything out of your mouth, if they have to pull all the information from you, then they already know when you come in the door, it's going to be the same way. They're going to have to pull work out of you. They're going to have to pull conversations out of you. Then they're going to have to pull you in the office and write you up. Then they're going to have to pull you. They already know. They're going to have to pull you to come to work. They're going to have to call you, hey, I see you late. You're coming to work. See, and you might not even be like that. But because your first impression is only your last. Your first impression showed them that they have to pull information out of you that's just like you saying they're going to have to pull work out of you. And no company, no business owner, no manager wants to pull anything from their employees. They want their employees to come in energetic and do what they do, and it's less stress and less work on them. Okay? So just remember that. You have to talk and sell yourself and smile and be polite and everything. Don't just sit there and wait on these people to keep asking you questions and they have to pull questions out of you. That's a bad interview. I can tell you that right now, because when I used to interview people, if I had to pull information, I done had those exact same hundreds of interviews that went just like that, where the people just sit there and answer one. I asked them one question, they answered in like about 4 words. Yeah, I know how to cashier. That's it. I can't do it. I can't do it. You know, so people, you have to be aware that these interview processes are very, very important, and it gives you a chance to get in that door. And the only way to get in that door is to sell yourself. Tell them what you know, how good you're going to be at it, how accurate you're going to be at it, and you're going to be a hard worker, that you're not going to be late, all that stuff. And you got to tell them and show them, explain to them how you are a good fit for that position. Okay, so now like I said, you have to be passionate. You have to be interested. You have to be engaged, and you have to be interested in that job you are applying for, because that's where your passion comes in at when you talking to the people. And I always tell people, when you go into an interview, don't go in there. I know you have a little scaredness and nervous about, I got to go in for this interview. And especially if they got you sitting down waiting and you next up in about 5 or 10 minutes, you're kind of nervous or whatever. It's okay. That's a normal feeling. But you have to push it to the side a little bit and say, I'm confident I'm going to get this job, and I'm going to talk to them like they are a friend that you've been knowing. Just look at them as a friend that you've been knowing, and you just talk to them as if they was a friend. Just imagine them being a friend of you, and you've been knowing this person. Don't be nervous, and that way you relax, and then you can go ahead on and sell yourself so you can get the job, okay? So make sure you do that. And you have to engage in an interview. When that interview person asks you a question, just don't answer yes, and then leave it. Explain what you would do in that position, how you gonna be a great fit for that position, all your skills you know that takes to run that position, how well you work with others, and all that good stuff. You got to sell yourself, okay? Now, prepare for common interview questions, okay? Some interview, you have to prepare yourself to know they're going to ask you a lot of questions, and it doesn't matter. You talk to them, like I said, as if they is a friend that you've been knowing for a long time, you know, and you talk to them, and know, create a friendly and strong impression, okay? And I just showed you how to show a friendly and strong impression, okay? You smile and you just tell them what they need to know and be very friendly. Hello, when you go back there, when they call your name for the interview and you go in there to talk to that person, hello, how you doing? My name is such and such, glad to meet you. And and y'all talk or whatever, and then you go whatever they ask you, you take it from there on that position, okay? And that's just the way it goes. And make sure you are on time to an interview. Make sure you are at least about 15 minutes early for an interview. I'm going to tell you right now, when these people have you scheduled for an interview, don't think you the only one they have scheduled for that interview that day. Usually how I scheduled all my interviews is when it's about 5 people or 6 people that I'm interested in, but I can only hire one of them. And what I do is one will be at 8:15, and then the next one will be about 8:45. Then the next one will be about 9:15. I gave them about 30 minutes apart from each interview person that I've set up. All of them are set up 30 minutes apart. Okay? So if one person is late, that's going to throw me off. And that's going to mess up my schedule. And I'm not going to let no one person mess up my schedule because they are late. Okay? Sometimes when a person is late, I will have my other managers tell them, we'll just call them another time because they missed their appointment and I'm already scheduled to talk to someone else, which is the truth. So now that person have just lost out on was able to get that job. But because they was late, that showed a terrible sign to me. If you are late for your interview, you're going to be late for your job. And we don't need it. So you automatically, they really don't hire you. Okay? So make sure that you are always at least 15 minutes early for your job interview, okay? And dress appropriately. Usually, guys, men, you want to have on slacks, nice dress shirt when you go into an interview, okay? Nice pair of shoes or whatever. Ladies, you want to have on a nice either dress, nice blouse, or either a 2-piece suit. Men can wear a 2-piece suit, but just make sure you have slacks for the men. Usually the colors would be like navy is good, navy, gray, black, brown. Those are good interview colors, okay? And a white dress shirt or a nice blouse, white blouse, okay? Those are nice colors for interviews, okay? They're just excellent colors for interviews, And the button-down shirts, definitely. And for ladies, nice blouses, definitely. Okay. Or very nice interview attire to wear. Okay. So you look very professional when you do that, you know. And if you wear a skirt, make sure it's about knee length, okay. And then if you wear pants, slack pants, like I said, let them be slack pants. I don't like jeans. Jeans are not in a professional area. Slacks only, okay. Dress pants is really what it is, okay. Take extra copies of your resume, okay, and take a small notepad where you can jot down little information that you need to do, you know. Take a good paper pad and a good working pen, and just in case you have to jot down some things, you know. So you do that. Some interview people will ask difficult questions, and you have to be prepared for that. Sometimes they'll ask you difficult questions in person. Sometimes it will be on applications. When you're filling out an application, they'll tell you you have to take a mini test, which the test will take about 15 to 20 minutes to take. And then they start asking you all kind of different questions and things on what you would do in this situation. How would you react in this situation? They would have like a common sense test to see what type of personality you have. And sometimes they'll do that on their application forms when you go online and fill them out. Sometimes when you go in person for a person-to-person interview, they'll ask you some questions, you know, some difficult questions. If you're doing it virtual, they'll ask you probably some difficult questions. Might not, but sometimes they do. I was that type of manager that I did ask at least about 2 difficult questions. They not really difficult, y'all, but it's just that how the people answer it is the key. Okay, and I'm talking about questions like this. It'll have on there, like, they'll tell you this. Tell me about the time you had to work with a difficult person. Okay, now they're asking that question to see how well you will get along with other people. Okay, and sometimes it'll be on application forms where they say, you're going to take a 15-minute test, and they ask you little questions like that. Or if you're sitting right in front of that person who is interviewing you, they might ask you a question like that, because I did. Okay, and so like I said, that question is, tell me about a time you had to work with a difficult person. And the way to answer that is, well, I've never really, none of my coworkers that I have ever worked with was difficult to me. I mean, everybody do their job. It's some people that probably don't do their job better than others, but I didn't consider them difficult. And if I ever do run across someone who I feel is difficult to work with, I will go to the management team and talk to them and see can they solve that problem. But I never had a problem with working with anyone that I thought was difficult. Okay, that's how you answer that. And that shows that, wow, well, if she haven't ran across anybody who is difficult, maybe she do get along with everybody, or maybe he do get along with everybody. Okay, or if she did have a problem with somebody she felt is difficult, she won't approach that person to start nothing. She will go to a management team the way she's supposed to go. That's how you answer questions. And even if you did have a conflict or something with a co-worker before or something, you don't want to tell them folks that, oh yeah, I worked with a difficult person before, and I had to knock him down because he got on my nerve, and then I kept on doing my work. I pushed him off the ladder because you ain't getting in there like that. So people have to be very conscious of how they answer questions, because you're answering the questions based on what you know they want to hear. Okay? And that's how you do it. Okay? So, and then they might say something like this. Tell me about a time you learned from your mistakes. Okay? They tell about the time to learn from my mistakes. Well, and then you have to explain, tell about a time you learned from your mistakes. They're not talking about when you was at home and was a kid and then you got in trouble for making a mistake or nothing like that. It's job related. You know what I'm saying? And you could say something like, if you're applying for a restaurant job or whatever, you could say, well, I remember a time where I was a little bit rushing too much and I forgot to hit the timer and then I burned up 2 chicken, but I learned from that mistake because after that, I've never burnt another piece of chicken again. I made sure when I dropped that chicken in the grease, I hit the timer because I know food cost is very important to a company. Bingo. You see what I'm saying? So you have to answer questions like that. And you have to answer it in ways that you know that it relates to the job and what they want to hear. And not only did I tell them, okay, that was a mistake by me not hitting the timer, but I learned from that mistake because I know how valuable food costs and the bottom line profit is for me not to be hitting buttons. So I'm letting them know that, oh, I care about the company, I care about your money, I care about your bottom line, and therefore I learned from that mistake and won't let that happen again. Okay, so that's how you answer little questions like that. And just make sure that when you go into job interviews, you ace those job interviews. Okay, and let me tell you, never be nervous. You could be a little jiggly nervous or something for a job interview, but always know that a job interview, you are going there to let these people know how qualified you are for that job. Okay? And act like they are your friend and just talk to them just very smoothly. And sometimes you might have a nice person interviewing you, and sometimes you might think the person interviewing you might be a little mean, because I know when I used to interview people, I don't know, some people might have thought, ooh, she was mean. I don't think she liked me. I wasn't mean. I was just straightforward. And I would ask difficult questions like that because I want to see who I'm bringing in the door, and I pay attention, very close attention to how they respond to that question I'm asking them, And if I have to pull information out of people when I'm asking them about their careers, if I have to pull it, I cut the interview very, very short. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, thank you for your time, and we see we got a lot of applications to look over, well, good luck, and they say, okay, and that's it. I sometimes, if I have to keep pulling information out of a person, I will cut the interview about 15 minutes shorter than what I would have if they had engaged in talking with me. So just remember that, y'all. And I tell y'all like this. Always think about things like this. When you go inside of any company, and you got about 3 or 4 or 5 people waiting, because sometimes you can go for an interview and it's about 5 or 6 other people waiting for that same interview. But let me tell you, if you're real confident, I know I was when I had to do interview process, when I was applying for a job field or something like that. When I applied for it, it don't matter about 5 or 6 people. Everybody be like, oh, they got a lot of people they interviewing today, huh? Yeah, I already said in my mind, I don't know about y'all, but I already know I'm getting in the door because I know how to do interviews and I know how confident I am in interviews, and I know that when I get in there, I'm going to tell them I know this, how I'm going to help their business, how I execute their business, how I'm going to work myself to the bone to make sure that whatever they need done, I'm going to get it done. See, I know how to talk to them. I don't know if they know how to talk to them, but I know what I'm doing. And I know it's going to be they going to want me. So you have to go in there like that. Don't worry about, there's about 6 more other people for this one job. I'm going to get it because I'm so confident in myself and what I know and how much I know. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to spit the game to them to where they gonna go head on and go through with the other people. But when I left that office, they already knew they're gonna hire me. So that's how you have to go in for a job interview. You have to be confident in yourself. And 9 times out of 10, every interview I have left out of, it wasn't 15, 20 minutes. They called me and say, hey, can you come in tomorrow? I already know. You know? So you just have to be prepared for that. So, it doesn't, sometimes you will have 2 interview process. Sometimes you will have an interview with one person, and that's the management team. And then if the management like you, then they'll pass it to the higher manager. And then that manager will give you a call and they want to interview you. Well, you just do the same thing you did with the first manager. Okay? You sell yourself and go in there and do what you got to do and explain to them why you are the best qualified candidate for that position. Okay? So that's all I have. It's completed. Chapter 20 is done. So chapter 1 through 20 was the whole lesson course of inventory finance, budgeting, accounting, all that good stuff. Y'all know it all. Y'all ready to get out there in the field. We done talked about last week how to get your resumes together. And today we talked about how to execute and how to get your interview process going. And so good luck to everybody. And like I said, from here on out, I will just be touching the little bases here and there on just like little things that happen in the work field, okay? Proud of everybody. I just can't tell you how proud I am. It's been a long road from chapter 1 to chapter 20, but I am so proud of everyone and so proud of y'all. Thank you all, our subscribers. If you are a viewer and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I have a lot more knowledge to share with everybody coming on down the line. So be safe. Good luck. Hope you get that career and that money-making job that you dreamed of having, and just have a beautiful, beautiful career, okay? Gain knowledge to prevent blockage. And we all know what that means. The more you know, the harder it is for anybody to block y'all from y'all goals and success. So proud of you guys. Bye-bye.